Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order.
7:35.
All rise for the pledge
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call for attendance, please.
Sandy.
Here.
Matt.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Ken.
Here.
Lori here.
Before we approve the agenda, I need to add item number 9, discussion of SAW grant.
Under consent agenda?
No,
Or
under new
business?
business. So do I need to add another item to motion to pay it, or do we discuss it? No. Would that be item 9?
That would be part of item 9.
Oh, okay, yes. And reason being is that I didn't think we were going to have representation here, but then we're anybody else?
I'd like to add something to the agenda regarding the hold harmless policy that we put in place
This is still under new?
in October. Yes.
So item number 10, hold on. Discussion? Discussion and action, I guess.
I guess action and
I
rescinding
guess there
it.
would be both discussion and action. Same with number 9.
That's item 10.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I don't know that we can do anything with regard to the ZBA.
I just discuss it so that people, so that they're aware.
Well, we can discuss it and then,
Because that lady called today, so it wasn't like you knew,
right,
that it was coming.
item 11, discussion on ZBA.
Anybody else? Okay. So I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Matt made
agenda.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to state what it is that the motion is, so I can write down what the motion is, please.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Question. In regards to the consent agenda, that encompasses the plant grant audit, correct? That was discussed at the last meeting.
No, what the consent agenda encompasses is the items that appear every month. So instead of doing each item individually, like the approval of payroll, the approval of the accounts payables, the approval of the treasurer's report, the minutes, you do it in one motion instead of each one individually. So it's the things that are normally on the agenda every month. So the audit would have been separate.
Where would that be at then? Where he's getting from is we asked Plant Moran some questions and they still have not been able to get back and answer us on them. Is that on the consent agenda from our last meeting, or where will we bring that up at?
That's not anything that was asked to be put on the agenda, so it's not on the
We
agenda.
figured it was on the consent agenda from the last meeting.
For instance, here,
It would be reflected in the minutes that we spoke with them, but answers from them wouldn't be anywhere unless you bring it to the agenda.
Do you want to amend the agenda?
if I could, but, you know, in looking at the packet that we have, there's statements about Plant Moran, and over the last 4 years, our revenue has been less than the expenditures, which is something we need to keep our eye on. That's in our packet today.
Right, that's your minutes.
And we have this packet that was given to us in the overhead chart that,
Then what you would do is add discussion of what was in the minutes. We can do that if you want.
Well, if you're
I
questioning,
apologize, but-
no, that's okay. But my question is, are you questioning what's in the minutes, or are you questioning what the answers were to your questions?
The answers to the questions.
Okay, that would be something different that you need to follow up with Plant Moran.
we
as a-
attempted to.
Okay. Oh, then you want to do a discussion.
So we want to do a discussion,
Okay.
before we accept the agenda from last time,
That's okay, we can.
Right, we can revisit the agenda and just add it out as number 11,
Number 12.
or 12,
Okay.
sorry.
but if we accept the consent agenda from our last meeting, that means we accept everything that they said last time, or we're opening that up?
No, it
No,
has
it's
nothing to
just that
do
you're
with the
accepting
consent
the
agenda.
paperwork.
All right.
What's in there.
The minutes reflect what happened at the last meeting. It doesn't reflect that you got answers or you didn't get answers. It reflects what took place at the meeting, what motions were made, what discussions were had, but not verbatim discussions, just a generalization of what your discussion was. That's what the minutes reflect. That's what you vote to approve. You're looking at the minutes to say, yes, indeed, that's what happened, because I'm not the only one that was at the meeting, so it's not up to me to interpret what my minutes should say.
And I guess my question, part of it, to go along with Ken, is a follow-up as to what they said, not only the questions we asked, but some of the things that they put into this
So you would
packet.
put that under discussion?
Yeah, that would be a new discussion item.
If we could, then.
Sure. Discussion.
So it'll be number 12?
Okay.
How do you want to, discussion of Plant Moran?
March 31st, 2014 audit, or audits. Thank you.
I will make a motion to amend the agenda to include new business item number 12, discussion on Plant Moran, March 31st, 2014 audit.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so for the approval of the consent agenda, Lori made the motion, Ken seconded it. Any more discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open session, anyone wishing to address the board on agenda items only? And if there isn't any unfinished business. Under new business, discussion of treasurer residency issue. There's questions of our treasurer not living in Cottrellville from all of the paperwork that I received from our attorney as well as MTA. It's my understanding that the bottom line is what Sandy's intent is. So is whether your intent is to get to Cottrellville or not?
Yes.
Matt, do you have anything? Ken?
No.
Lori?
My concern is that you're not registered to vote in Cottrellville, and that's a requisite of holding this office. What's your intent on your voter's registration?
Just going by what MTA has said, it's my intent to move back, and as soon as I can, I will. And that's all that you need to have.
See that? Yeah.
Any
No, I
other
didn't get
discussion?
anything until just now.
Okay, moving to item number 2, motion to appoint Weir Manuel Coldwell Banker as selling agent for Starville Road property, earmarking monies received for, you guys agree that.
Did you want to take the other item for John out of order? Number 8, was it? The Clay's property thing?
No, I got that.
That's number 8.
Or number, the thing for Clay's?
That's number 8.
Yeah, that's what I said. Number 8, did you want to take it out of order? Is John going to explain that, so John doesn't have to sit through the whole meeting?
Well, there's several items on there.
Yeah, he doesn't.
No, all right.
He can stay.
Okay, sorry.
He can stay. Stay, please. Okay, so this is for the selling of the Starville Road property. It was my understanding that it was bought for a substation, and talking with the Sheriff's Department and the Marine City Fire Authority, they feel that a better location would be here at the township, and it's just sitting there. So Ken and I did some investigative work, and the only thing that I would like to change is per John, because John looked over the sales agreement, instead of a 6-year contract, doing a 6 months, so it would end, it would go from 12/17 of this year until June 16th of next year. And for the selling price to be $17,500 instead of $15,000.
Did we ever vote on selling it? Doesn't the board?
We brought it up in June
But we didn't vote on it.
of looking into it. That's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Because we discussed it in June, and then,
Well, the item was to appoint these people, and we didn't vote to actually sell it.
right, because
Okay.
we needed to look for the, look at the comps and all that.
Okay.
So that's what we did, so I need a motion.
I would move that we appoint Weir Manuel Caldwell Banker as our agents to sell the property for $17,500 and change their contract date to 6/16 versus 12/16 of 15,
Change the ending.
ending time.
Okay, so change it to 12,
To 6/16
6/16.
instead of
Okay.
12/16.
Oh, yeah.
Only 6 months
Okay.
instead of 15.
Thank you.
You're marking the money for fire department, if we do sell it.
What was it?
It's
Is that on here?
on your agenda.
Yeah, okay. And the money would be earmarked for our substation here at the Township Hall.
Perfect. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Any question?
Yep, oh, record discussion. Go.
In order to sell it, and obviously our attorneys looked at it, so I gotta believe it, but I'll ask. So a township can sell property for a profit?
Fair market value.
Fair market, they can. I said, but they make profit. I had heard at one point in time that that wasn't possible, but I didn't know, that was just hearsay. And then also the 1,500 is upon selling the property, or 1,500 whether it's sold or not?
Up just upon selling it.
That's not,
Could I ask John a question?
Sure.
John, does the board need to agree to sell the property before we appoint who is going to list it?
Well, your motion would be that you would, and I think that was what was the intention of, was to sell the property. Your motion to authorize the sale of the property and appointing them as a selling agent. I
Okay,
think
so
that
we
was
need to
kind
include that into the,
Yeah,
kind of, or it's
I didn't quite
implied?
exactly heard it, but I think that was kind of.
That's
Implied.
what
Yeah, I think that's what was stated, is something about sell the property
Hire
and
them to
appoint
sell.
okay,
them as the agent.
thank you.
And then did you want him to answer?
so, excuse me, John, we can then, the township does have the right to sell property and make
That's
a profit on it. That's not an issue.
No.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay.
Any more discussion? So we have all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, motion to accept the resignation of Lori Russellberg from the Parks and Rec Committee.
I'll make the motion to accept the resignation
And here you're gonna
of Lori Russellberg from the Parks and Rec Committee.
Can I get a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No, I want her to stay.
Okay, motion carries. Motion, item number 4, motion to approve Cottrellville Township payroll policy.
Just hang on.
I'll make a motion to approve the Cottrellville Township payroll policy.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
We need to have a payroll policy in place, so for quite a few reasons, we should have one in place anyway. But it's my understanding after having drafted this that some people would prefer a 2-week payroll.
Yep.
So every 2 weeks instead of 2 times a month. That opens up a couple of questions. If you want it done, it's my understanding you want it to be on Thursdays, every other Thursday that you're paid?
Correct, and then John had, I talked with John about the holidays, if it were Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever, that you can make the checks payable for that Wednesday because the employees, it's considered a paid holiday for them
Right.
anyway, so that
Right.
doesn't mess it up. So then that would solve a lot of problems.
How are we going to deal with the pay period then? Is the pay period, the last day of the pay period the day before? It's virtually impossible to pay somebody up to the minute, and that's what has been done in the past here.
Do you want to do, can you do it Wednesday to Tuesday? Is that what you said?
Go Thursday to Wednesday, have the time cards turned
Right.
in Thursday?
And turn in Wednesday. Would that be what would be easiest for
I mean
you?
Wednesday, I'm sorry.
Because if you did Tuesday, if you did it Wednesday to Tuesday, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Well, or
To
you
give
can go,
time.
you can go to a pay leg.
Could it go 1 week delayed, so?
Go to
we
a
get-
pay leg, because if we're gonna incorporate direct deposit,
Right.
then it's easier to do a direct deposit if you already have your paperwork done
How many
prior
hourly
to.
employees do we have? Most of us are salary.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4,
I
5.
mean, Don and Jonathan get paid once a month, right?
Yeah, but they would have to comply to get paid on that payday. And if they work the last day of the month, yeah, that, we're gonna have to look into that too, because that last day of the month isn't gonna be on a Thursday. So,
What does the last day of the month mean?
well, they're paid monthly, so they can go to a 2-week.
They would
also.
have to too, if that's our township policy,
Yeah.
they don't have a choice.
Well, then you have your board members who get paid once a year, and then you have your trustees who get paid quarterly, so how do we wanna?
Well, if they get paid quarterly, they get,
You just pay.
on that Thursday quarter.
It's the same thing.
But we-
It's the same thing.
But the thing is the question becomes, are we gonna do a pay lag, or are we gonna do a day before?
John, what would you suggest?
Well, if you have some special circumstance wherein you pay, typically this is scheduled for full-time employees who are working a scheduled work week. So your policy would be applicable to those individuals who are working the pay week.
More of
If
the
you're-
office workers as opposed to the other
Right,
ones.
you can put your pay scale, if you have a salary, then your salary should, your agreement, whatever the salary is, should have something in place. If it's paid monthly, then it's paid once a month. If it's paid, on the 15th or the 30th, or, however you break out the salary payments, that's up to you to make a decision as to if trustees receive the payment at the end of the quarter, they can't receive it in advance. But if they receive it at the end of the quarter as one lump sum, you can place that in your policy as well. And you can have different persons who are acting, you know, in terms of different pace situations.
So just put in here the different,
I mean, you have to establish it.
right,
I mean, currently, is everyone that's on salary and works a scheduled week, are they paid on the same day?
currently that is,
Okay, so the salary is just calculated into how many payments you have.
salary's easy. Salary, I
Right now,
can-
you have 24 payments then, if you have it, right? If you're
Correct,
paying it
correct.
twice a month, you have 24 payments. If you're now going to do it on a bi-weekly basis, you're gonna have 26 payments.
Correct.
So you can break down the salary and divide it by 26 and make those payments.
Salary's not the problem.
Okay.
Salary is easy to take care of.
Okay. so-
However, I would make a motion that we table this to look into the different, the other language that we're gonna have to put into this, because we're not gonna come up with it tonight, especially when we have to figure out your deadline for getting your time cards in, if we're gonna do a pay lag, if we're gonna do a day after.
Well, the provision says, it says wages are to be paid to the employee on an established regularly or recurring payday. So if you establish, it's bi-weekly and you establish on a Thursday, then that Thursday is your payday. It says such payday occurs on or before the 14th day following the end of the work period in which the wages are earned. So you could go ahead and make the payment on, if Thursday is your payday, you could have that occur in the beginning of the day, if that's the issue, instead of waiting to the end of the day, because it occurs on or before, or you can do it the day before.
The problem that often happens is that things aren't given to me timely. So
Well,
my preference would be to either have it the day before or go to a week pay lag, something of that nature. Because for me to sit here and wait until the end of the day for someone to hand me their time card from yesterday, that's not fair to everyone else.
You can do the payroll on Wednesday, and distribute or make, if you have automatic deposits, have it occur on Thursday.
Right,
You can do that.
well,
Assuming the bank allows you the method by which to do that, or if you do it yourself and you cut the checks, you can do the payroll on Wednesday and then make the paychecks on Thursday. You can distribute those.
which it
If
goes to
someone
the-
doesn't turn in their time cards in accordance with a policy that you've established, then you as a board have to establish what happens.
Okay,
I mean, if you do not turn in your time cards in a timely manner,
You have to wait till.
Then you wait till the
then
next pay
maybe you wait
period.
until the next pay period.
Right, okay,
I mean, that's just a matter of internal procedures and enforcement,
that sounds good to me.
so.
That works.
Can we make the policy that we do this every other Thursday for the salary employees then tonight? And then we'll
We
work on the hourly, the 3 hourly that we have, that are at bi-weekly?
I think you can make the policy right now, just as John said, that it's, time cards are due, what do you want them, on Tuesday?
You guys,
If you're
you
doing
guys
it
can
on
make the
Wednesday?
determination what your policy is gonna be, and then you can just put it into writing.
Right.
Yeah.
You can approve it, I mean, you can approve it verbally and then put it in writing.
Yeah,
So what day would work better for you to have the time cards? Thank you, John.
if we're doing it on Thursday, in order to do direct deposit, I'll have to have it. I have to have it done by Wednesday morning for it to get deposited for Thursday pay. So Tuesday, make it the Wednesday to Tuesday is the pay period, and payday is on that Thursday.
Well, if Thursday's the last day the office is open, you could have it until Thursday and a direct deposit for Friday.
If payday's Thursday for people who don't have direct deposit, but people are, I did misunderstood what you're saying.
If Thursday, the office is closed at noon on Thursday, you could do your direct deposit on Thursday before you leave for Friday at the bank, correct?
But then the people who don't have direct deposit won't get paid until Monday, if payday is Friday.
Oh, are you doing all direct deposits or all checks? Or you do
No,
both?
it's up to the person who wants direct deposit,
Oh.
who wants a check in hand. So
What do
if
you have
payday,
more of?
we don't know yet, we haven't gotten it set up. That's what we're working on, is getting the direct deposit set up.
So if a holiday falls on a Thursday, we'll get paid on Wednesday, correct?
Correct.
That's
If
how the
that,
count
if that Thursday is a paid holiday.
Okay.
So Wednesday to Tuesday pay period, time cards are due on Tuesday. If you don't turn your time card in, then it goes on to the next pay period.
I think he had a key word there, if it's a paid holiday. What if it's some other reason that the office isn't open? So it doesn't create confusion here.
Well, if the offices aren't open, then it would be,
I'm just asking, I don't
No,
get
that's
paid check
fine.
no matter what. so-
that's a good question. Well, it's outlined in here, isn't it? Well, no, if it's direct deposit, we have to do it by a certain date and time so that it's deposited for that pay period.
I mean, when you do your payroll, if you're doing it Tuesday to Wednesday, then you will know if for example, that during that pay period, you're using that as your 2-week period, so it's actually Tuesdays, whatever that date is to not the following Wednesday, but 2 Wednesdays after, the second Wednesday after. You'll know if days in there are paid holidays or not.
Right.
Well, we don't have any paid holidays, so.
Oh, yeah,
It's
so
not an
you'll know whether or not there's someone should be included. If it's a salary person, it won't make a difference. If it's an hourly person, it will. But then you make that ascertainment when you write up the payroll on Wednesday.
Well,
Or when they turn on their cards on Tuesday, you obviously verify that this was the time periods worked and these are the hours worked.
The-
Payment of overtime or whatever.
I need to figure out payroll. So,
Which would be your Wednesday.
as we're doing it now, it's the 1st through the 15th, 16th to the last day of the month. So how does everyone else want it? I mean, if you want it on Thursday, then I would need the time cards by Wednesday morning.
Exactly, so the pay period would go Wednesday or Tuesday. So that way it would give you that Wednesday
Right.
to do the pay.
Wednesday
and then
morning,
people would get their
it'd
checks
have
on
to be Wednesday
Thursday.
morning at the latest.
And if there's a holiday on Thursday, then they would get paid on Wednesday.
Okay, so Wednesday through Tuesday.
Well, if they're going back 14 days, that Thursday wouldn't fall then. If your pay period is Thursday, though, it would. Then you would make the determination when you're doing it.
Right.
Right.
I gotcha.
Every 14 days is the pay period. So when you
Right.
make the ascertainment of what the hours or pay amount is, if it's salary, then it's a 14-day increment. It's one of 26 pay periods. You could always put there that exempted from this policy is the payment of the trustees, because it's a quarterly payment.
Thank you. Thanks, John. All right.
So what are we gonna change? So the pay period,
Instead of being on the first, the pay periods are gonna go from Wednesday to Tuesdays in a 14-day interval. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
And then time cards are due on Tuesday. And if the time card isn't turned in, pay goes, they get paid the
Yeah,
next.
at the end of the day on Tuesday, yeah.
And then if they don't turn it in, that goes on the next pay period. Paydays on Thursday and exempted from the policies of trustees.
end of day,
That's why.
Tuesday.
Did you guys get that? Any more discussion? Are you good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good? Okay.
The only other thing is, you mentioned DPW. Is their contract call, how does their contract call for payments?
I don't recall offhand, I think it's monthly. I think it's outlined as being the 1st through the 15th and the 16th through the last day of the month, and they have the option of being paid 2 times a month or once a month. So,
And you pay that pursuant to the contract.
right. Okay.
Okay, are we good?
We're good.
Okay, Lori, can you restate the motion?
I will make a motion to approve the Cottrellville Township payroll policy with the amended change of pay period will be every other Thursday. The paychecks will be produced every other Thursday, and the pay period is from Wednesday, 14 days to Tuesday, I don't know how to say that, for a 2-week period. Time cards are due at the end of Tuesday to the clerk for processing for payroll.
And if time card isn't turned
And if the time card isn't turned in a timely fashion,
in by the due date.
by the due date, timely fashion,
It makes
they,
sense.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead, finish.
they will wait until the next pay period.
And the trustees are accepting
Well, the trustees will be paid
the policy.
every other Thursday.
Right, okay.
Well,
No,
well, it depends on what trustees you're talking about. All of us sitting here are trustees.
They're exempt.
Really?
Well,
Yes,
These,
that's the actual title for
The
the elected
boards.
officials. But it's up to the person actually, as far as I'm concerned, on when they want to be paid, so.
we just put that they're exempted from the policy, trustees.
All right, trustees are exempt
From the policy.
from the policy. Well, then I have a question with that. Is this encompassing the salary and the hourly, or is this right now just for the hourly or the salary?
That's for everyone.
For
That's
the
why
time-
they have to turn
time
in
cards.
Okay. Well, everybody has to turn in a time card.
you not sorry?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. You still second?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And then we'll get a copy of the policy for everyone. To everyone who receives the check. Okay, item number 6, motion to approve purchase of computer for
You skipped 5, which is the schedule. That's okay.
Okay, item number 5, motion to approve Cottrellville Township meeting schedule and calendar for 2015.
I'll make a motion to approve the Cottrellville Township meeting schedule and calendar for 2013, or 2015. Going backwards.
Are we
In a second.
open discussion?
Matt, did you get that, Matt seconded?
Yep.
Okay, discussion.
What about the November 25th? Do you think we need that day, the day before Thanksgiving?
I think we can be open the day before Thanksgiving.
Most places are.
I agree.
That's how it's been, so that's why it was put in that way.
Right, but I was
Why
saying
was
I'd
it
like
in?
to change it.
It's been that way for the last 2 years that it was in there, it was in there. I'm not the one that created this calendar.
So you just want to change
Yeah, I
it?
think we should change it.
Okay,
So we eliminate the 25th?
Yeah.
well, we need to vote on it.
Oh,
So we need to vote on this motion and then re-vote on, saying if it fails, then we vote on it.
Well,
It should have been.
you can amend this motion.
Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Make a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the 2015 calendar year minus the 25th of November.
And that's for the board members, or the board meeting.
For the township.
I'm
hall.
sorry, for the township hall.
To be ordered.
Actually, okay.
Are you caught up?
No?
Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 6.
I'm sorry, did we get a second? I didn't get a second for that.
Matt seconded.
Okay.
Okay. Item number 6, motion to approve purchase of computer for QVF elections from IT Right for $838 and allow IT Right to recycle old unusable computer that it's replacing.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the computer for QVF. My motion. Which is for the elections from IT Right for $838 and allow IT Right to recycle the old unusable computer that it is replacing.
Can I get a second?
There's your recycling. It's unusable for anything.
It's 12 years old, it's unusable.
I mean, do we do anything for the recycling?
I don't know, Helen's the one who talked to them. I think recycling is just to erase the hard drive and to put it where it's recycled, you know, the electronic recycling.
But they're not charging us for the recycling?
No.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion?
This computer is 12 years old. It is not supported anymore. It's an XP. It is very old. We cannot upgrade it, and it is something that we need in order to run our elections. It is what we use for the qualified voter file, which is QVF. It's how we send out our absentee ballots, how we keep track of the election, who's voted, who's requested the absentee ballots, and it interacts with the state's system. So every night it's updated. What we put in it, it gets updated with the state, and then what the state gets inputted, which affects our township, it updates every night. So we need to have a secure computer, and this one is no longer usable.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, motion to pay Universal Cabling System $320 for labor and material needed to install computers in the conference/media room. You make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I guess a motion.
I'll make the motion that we,
Do you have
no, that's what
it?
I
Oh, here's.
discuss the purchase of universal cabling system for labor and material installed in the media room.
For $320. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Matt seconded, in case you didn't know. Discussion, what this is for is to bring a cable to the wall for our computers that we had, instead of just having them sit there. I talked with IT Right, and Matt and I had looked in the conference room, and we're gonna find a resident that can make a countertop along that wall by my office and put the 2 chairs there and the computers, so that way we don't have to pay the $500 for the electricity and tear up the conference table. And then that will be used for our historical society and whoever else needs to use it. And IT Right said that they wouldn't charge us to come in and put it up with the server, because it's already been on the server and it is compatible. This,
I have a question. I don't recall the board ever voting to approve that to be a media room.
why would we have to vote to prove it to be a media room?
The board has to approve that we're gonna do something with the room. It can't just be, we go in there and all of a sudden start putting stuff in there,
Well, we had discussed it.
but we never
Several
voted
times.
on making it a media room. And with, well, in that regard,
It doesn't say that's in our policies, that the board has to vote on what we use each room for. Do we have a policy?
if you're going to start spending money in a room, I think you have to agree as a board that that's the use you want for that room. And if you're,
We can use it as a conference room, we'll put those in there for conference room. Maybe we can discuss about the media room later, can't we?
Sure.
Those conference.
Want to bring up?
I make the motion that we approve the 320 for labor and material needed to install those in the conference room.
Do you still second it?
It's the same motion though, isn't it?
She's just saying
Yeah.
conference room instead of calling it this conference/media room.
Well, my question then would be, why would we need it if we don't have it now, if it's just a conference room? So we should back up and look
So
at
do
the,
you want to table it and then we'll vote on it next month? Or to make a vote of whether or not to call the meeting on? Or want to use it for that? It's come up in discussion, so.
we have a motion right now on the floor.
What do you want to do?
I'm for the tabling.
Okay.
And the reason being, even after you get it wired, that doesn't mean that it's gonna be done, because in reading the letter, there may have to be a new operating system.
That if they weren't connected to the domain, but they all were, because they were taken from the deputy.
but these are the ones that are the XP. The reason why we got new ones was because this was no longer supported. So we're gonna have to upgrade it, so
For
it's
the
not
software that you needed, because.
We're not going to
you
be doing the same
spoke
things
to-
with those computers though.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be.
Is
for
it
kind
going
of
to be
doing-
connected to the internet?
Yes, and he said, that's why he sent that, he said that they were compatible.
I'm talking with IT Right, I talked to them too, they said they could be used for that.
And he was.
And I talked to IT Right, and they also told me that during this contract period, it's not going to affect anything, but our next contract period, they're gonna take our contract charge up $1,000. Because we're adding 4 more computers.
We're just saving 2.
You're just adding 2?
Mhm.
All right.
I think it might be wise to table and address all the concerns we have here before we make a decision as to what we want to do.
So the concerns we'll address is how many computers, the cost for the next contract.
We won't be
Verify
putting,
any operating systems. Because that looks like it's an opportunity for an additional charge.
You want me to I'll have them include the operating in the
Yeah,
letter.
just explain it. Please.
Okay, how many computers cost for next contract, verifying operating system and letter, anything else?
I think Lori's first concern,
Uh,
convert the conference room to that, if there was a motion, if there wasn't, and if it needs to be done that way, just so we do it properly.
Okay, and then a motion to turn to media/conference room. So that-
Because I think it was for the Historical Society as a primary thing, isn't it? Okay.
May I make a comment? I was told it can be upgraded to 2017. Also, the Historical Society has a budget, any overflow of money, you take it out of the Historical Society budget. And if you do this before the new fiscal year, it could be done before that. And any additional cost, maybe you could take out of the budget for the Historical Society. Since basically that's what we want to put database, Ancestry.com in a database for what we've been working on into the computer.
Well, if it's for the let me back up a second. Are you now looking at, to me, a media room is you want people to be able to come in and use it. That's what the discussion was before, but is it now for the Historical
Well, it's
Society?
primarily
That's one of them.
for the Historical Society.
But it's still available for
Mhm.
everyone who wants to come in and use it?
It's access to the public.
Right.
Okay.
One of the things you'd be accessing is Ancestry.com and any database that we have for history in the township.
Yep.
That was originally how this whole thing kind of got started, wasn't it? We kind of were snowballing ideas around.
Okay, well, I'll put that on and make sure that gets put on. I'll look into those and make sure that gets put on for January, all those concerns.
Would it be for the people that don't have computers at home, could they take a look at our minutes on there too?
Exactly.
Mhm.
All of that stuff can all be incorporated in there?
Okay, so Matt, you're making a motion to table it?
I'll
until
second that.
The next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, motion, item number 8, approve the dismissal without prejudice and without cost for court case number K-13-00326-CZ, Cottrellville Township versus Sheila
Clays.
Clays, thanks. Thank you.
This was an action that was taken if, by reference for the board, it's the property that's due south of AJ's restaurant there. The property has been not in use for a number of years. The owner is a, best information I was able to gather through much investigation, late 80s, a widow, and we had had prior communications, and turned out, we didn't know if it was a daughter or a niece, but it turned out it was a niece who was a lawyer in Naples, Florida, who's paid the taxes on an annual basis, so it's never been delinquent, but obviously the house was in decline, obviously. At one point they did clean it up. There was discussion that they were going to sell the property, they were going to do X, Y, and Z, but then that did not materialize as had been represented. An enforcement against the property for its dilapidated condition was started. However, you have to serve the property owner, and you have to make diligent efforts to locate and serve that property owner. We filed the suit in St. Clair County Circuit Court through a variety of attempts to locate and serve her both in Collier County, which is Naples, Florida, as well as Hidalgo County in Texas, where we also had information that she had resided and may still be residing. We were never able to get personal service upon her. We then obtained an order from the court establishing, by virtue of affidavits of our attempts to locate and serve her, that we requested the court to allow us to serve her by substituted service, which required us to post the property, to send mail to the last known address in Naples, Florida, and also to publish 3 times in a paper that circulated throughout the county, which was the Voice newspapers, which is the least expensive venue. All of that was eventually accomplished, and as it turned out, an attorney who was from Shelby Township finally did appear on this case. And some of the delay was that the niece, who was in her 70s, was not responding at all to anything and was not letting the other family members know of this, but evidently that had to do with a serious health issue. So, long story short, they filed their answer. We had discussions about them correcting the problem, which is what the court wanted to see. The property has been sold on land contract. The purchaser has cleaned up the property, obtained a demolition permit from the township and demolished the garage, which was collapsing. Replaced all of the exterior windows, or at least a great number of the exterior windows. I went and personally observed it probably early November. And also came in and obtained a building permit from the township to rehab the property. So, and these were conditions that we had discussed with the attorney, as if we were going to bring about a successful resolution, all this had to be accomplished. It appears that all of that has been done. The person who bought the property is looking up to the agreement to get it fixed up. The court would do no more than that. So it's up for a status conference on Monday. What I'm requesting the board is to authorize us to a stipulated order dismissing the litigation without prejudice, without cost to any party. Without prejudice means that if for some reason the property is not maintained and the building permit is not completed, then we would have cause to go back. So we're not dismissing it with prejudice, we're doing it without prejudice. It took a little longer than what would be normal, but sometimes that's what happens when you have an absentee owner, and you have to get some kind of service for the court to take jurisdiction. So, so anybody have a question? But otherwise, if you authorize me to enter into the dismissal, the order will be filed tomorrow and entered by the court.
Did anybody have any questions?
I make a motion to approve the dismissal.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You're authorized to join. Okay, item number 9, discussion of solvent and action.
First of all, I just want to make an announcement. I apologize that Mr. Med could not be here. He had a death in the family that he's attending to this evening. So I'm going to just want to bring the board up to speed on where we stand. I think, first of all, we were successful in obtaining